Have you ever experienced that moment when someone helps you improve something without even touching you? That's exactly what happened to me during a recent training session, and I can't wait to share this story with you. Picture this. I'm at the gym, struggling with my form on a particular exercise, feeling frustrated and a bit defeated. My trainer, who I've been working with for about 6 months now, notices my struggle from across the room. Now, let me tell you a bit about Jake. He's been in the fitness industry for over a decade, specializing in strength training and rehabilitation. What makes him exceptional isn't just his knowledge, but his ability to communicate effectively. He's straight, both in his approach to fitness and in his personal life, which I mention only because it relates to what happened next. As I was attempting my third set of deadlifts, I could feel something wasn't quite right. My lower back was taking too much strain, and I wasn't engaging my core properly. Jake walked over, observed for a moment, and then something remarkable happened. Without placing a single hand on me to adjust my position, he completely transformed my form through verbal cues and demonstration alone. Let me explain why this matters so much. In fitness, especially with complex movements like deadlifts, proper form isn't just about getting better results. It's about preventing injury. One wrong move with heavy weights can lead to months of recovery and rehabilitation. Many trainers resort to physical adjustments, moving your limbs or positioning your back with their hands. It's effective but can sometimes feel invasive or uncomfortable, especially when you're already feeling vulnerable while learning something new. What Jake did instead was use a combination of clear verbal instructions and visual demonstrations. Imagine you're trying to crack a walnut between your shoulder blades, he said, showing me the movement with his own body. Now, think about pushing the floor away with your feet, not pulling the bar up. These cues created mental images that translated into physical adjustments in my positioning. The deadlift is particularly challenging because it engages multiple muscle groups simultaneously. You need to hinge at the hips, maintain a neutral spine, engage your core, and drive through your heels, all while holding a potentially heavy weight. When performed correctly, it's one of the most effective full-body exercises. When done incorrectly, it's a recipe for disaster. As Jake continued guiding me, I noticed something fascinating about his approach. He was creating a space where I could discover the correct form myself, rather than forcing me into positions. Feel that engagement in your hamstrings? That's what we're looking for, he would say as I made adjustments based on his cues. This autonomy in learning is incredibly powerful. It means I wasn't just mimicking movements. I was understanding them from the inside out. The relationship between a trainer and client is built on trust, and this experience deepened my trust in Jake's abilities. He respected my personal space while still providing expert guidance. In an industry where physical contact is often the default method of correction, his ability to communicate effectively without touch demonstrated a high level of professional skill. Let me share what happened when I finally got the form right. There was this moment. Fitness enthusiasts will know exactly what I'm talking about, when everything clicked into place. The weight that had felt so challenging suddenly seemed manageable. My back no longer strained, my core engaged automatically, and I could feel the proper muscles activating. It was like finding the right key for a lock that had been jamming for ages. The immediate difference was remarkable. Not only could I lift with more confidence, but I also added an additional 20 pounds to my working weight within that same session. This wasn't because I suddenly became stronger, but because I was finally using the right muscles in the right way. Efficiency in movement translates directly to improved performance. But the benefits extended beyond that single exercise. This experience made me more attuned to my body's positioning in other movements as well. I started paying closer attention to subtle cues, the pressure distribution in my feet, the alignment of my knees, the engagement of my core. It was as if Jake had given me a new lens through which to view my entire training regimen. You might be wondering why I didn't just watch YouTube tutorials or follow along with fitness influencers online. I certainly tried that route before hiring Jake. The problem is that generic advice doesn't address your specific body mechanics, limitations, or strengths. Everyone's body is different. Some of us have longer limbs, different mobility restrictions, or previous injuries that affect our movement patterns. A skilled trainer can see these individual factors and provide personalized guidance that no video can offer. This experience also made me reflect on the value of expertise in our increasingly DIY culture. We have access to more information than ever before, yet sometimes this abundance can be overwhelming or misleading. There's something irreplaceable about learning from someone who has dedicated years to mastering their craft and can transmit that knowledge effectively. The way Jake adjusted my form without physical contact also speaks to a broader point about communication. So much of our understanding happens beyond words, through observation, demonstration, and the creation of vivid mental images. Effective teachers in any domain understand this intuitively. They know that sometimes the best way to help someone learn isn't to tell them exactly what to do, but to guide them toward discovering it themselves. I've been thinking about how this applies to other areas of life too. How often do we try to fix situations by imposing our solutions directly, when perhaps a more gentle guidance would be more effective? Whether it's helping a colleague with a project, teaching a child a new skill, or supporting a friend through a challenge, sometimes the most powerful assistance comes not from doing it for them, but from helping them see how to do it themselves. After that breakthrough session, I noticed a shift in my overall approach to fitness. I became more patient with myself, understanding that mastery is a process, not a destination. I started focusing less on the weight on the bar and more on the quality of each movement. This mindset shift has led to more consistent progress and, importantly, fewer aches and pains after workouts. Jake's approach also reminded me of something important about learning. We retain information better when we discover it ourselves. If he had simply moved my body into position, I might have performed that specific set correctly, but would I have internalized the movement pattern? Probably not as effectively. By guiding me to find the proper form myself, he ensured that the knowledge became embodied, something I could replicate even when he wasn't there. This experience has made me curious about the science behind different teaching methodologies in physical training. Research in motor learning suggests that external cues, like push the floor away rather than extend your knees, lead to better performance and retention than internal cues that focus on specific body parts. Jake's intuitive understanding of this principle was evident in how he coached me. I've also been reflecting on the importance of finding the right match in a trainer. Before Jake, I worked with two other trainers whose styles didn't resonate with me. One was too hands-on, constantly adjusting my position without explanation, leaving me dependent on their guidance. The other was too hands-off, providing little feedback beyond "that looks good" or "try again." Jake struck the perfect balance, present and attentive, but empowering rather than controlling. For anyone considering working with a personal trainer, I'd suggest paying attention to their communication style during an initial session. Do they explain the why behind their instructions? Do they offer various cues to help you understand a movement? Do they respect your boundaries while still providing effective guidance? These qualities matter far more than how fit they look or how many certifications they have on the wall. The gym can be an intimidating space, especially for beginners. There's an unspoken language of equipment usage, an etiquette to navigate, and often a perceived judgment from more experienced lifters. A good trainer serves as a cultural translator in this environment, helping you feel like you belong while you develop your skills. Jake did this not just through formal instruction, but through casual conversations about gym norms and encouragement to take up space confidently. Since that pivotal session, I've had several people at the gym ask me about my deadlift technique. It's become one of my strongest lifts, not because I'm exceptionally strong, but because the form is clean and efficient. I always credit Jake's teaching method when they ask how I learned. This has led to interesting conversations about different coaching styles and how we learn physical skills most effectively. I should mention that this approach doesn't just apply to weightlifting. The same principles of non-invasive guidance can be valuable in yoga, dance, martial arts, or any physical practice. The goal is always to develop body awareness that allows for self-correction and continuous improvement, rather than dependency on external feedback. What I find most valuable about this experience is how it's changed my relationship with the learning process itself. I used to get frustrated when I couldn't immediately perform an exercise correctly. Now I understand that these moments of struggle are actually where the most growth happens. The discomfort of not knowing is a necessary precursor to the satisfaction of mastery. If you're currently working with a trainer or considering it, I encourage you to reflect on how they help you learn. Are they creating dependency or building your autonomy? Do they explain concepts in ways that make sense to you? Do they respect your boundaries while still challenging you to improve? These questions can help you assess whether the relationship is serving your long-term development. For trainers listening to this, consider how you might incorporate more verbal and visual cueing into your teaching. While hands-on adjustments have their place, developing your ability to guide clients through clear communication expands your toolbox and may better serve clients who prefer minimal physical contact. I want to emphasize that this isn't about criticizing trainers who use physical adjustments. That's a valid and often necessary approach, especially for complex movements or when safety is a concern. Rather, this is about appreciating the skill involved in knowing when different teaching methods are appropriate and being versatile enough to adapt to each client's needs and preferences. As I continue my fitness journey, I carry the lessons from that session with me. The most important one being that sometimes the most powerful help we can receive doesn't involve being physically moved or manipulated, but rather being given the tools to move ourselves correctly. It's about empowerment rather than dependency, about learning principles rather than just following instructions. So the next time you're learning something new, whether it's a physical skill, a creative pursuit, or a professional capability, pay attention to how instruction is delivered. The best teachers, like Jake, know that their ultimate goal isn't to make you good when they're standing next to you, but to help you become good even when they're not there. They're building your capacity for self-correction and continuous improvement, which is infinitely more valuable than temporary guidance. I hope sharing this experience gives you some insight into effective teaching and learning, whether you're on either side of that relationship. And if you're currently struggling with an exercise or movement pattern, consider whether a different approach to learning it might help. Sometimes the breakthrough isn't about trying harder, but about finding a different way to understand the movement. Just as Jake showed me that day at the gym, the right cue at the right time can transform your experience completely, and hands don't always need to move for profound adjustments to take place. Total_chart_count, 12,993.